Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
Every Friday, we take a look back at the headlines that caught our eye. And as far as options, our little town never disappoints. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm joined by my co-host Sarah Lohman and the List.Vegas founder, Andrew Crawley. And we're talking about how the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority never stops giving us stories to talk about, how the inconvenience of construction projects never stops giving us stories to talk about, and a new attraction on the Strip giving us something new to talk about. It's Friday, July 11th. I'm David Figler, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Andrew and Sarah, welcome to the Friday News Roundup.
Good morning.
Hey, hey.
Oh, God. Seriously?
Just the way Andrew,
Very
folded his arms to it was like, is he not going to say hi? Is he mad?
Was there a lag?
I think
was
I
there
said
delay?
it. I think I said it kind of like sotto voce right along when you said it, so it was sort of buried.
Oh, okay.
That was a mental lag. That was cognitive decline.
And I also want to welcome all the new listeners who are popping in to find out what we're all about. And what we're all about is the news. And we usually start with the hot headline from the week.
Hot headline.
This is a story that we're interested in, but we're not going to do like a full talk about it. And, you know, often our hot headline of the week is a scandal or a sadness or something like that. But I'm super happy this week that we're featuring a story about a local youngster done really good. So congratulations to Chris Hayes. He's a recent Las Vegas Academy grad and is the first Nevadan ever to win the prestigious Jimmy Award in New York City. Yay!
Okay,
Yeah.
for people who aren't dorks, what's the Jimmy Award, David?
Well, it is a competition for the top theater student from each state, and they pick one winner for, you know, male and female. And Chris Hayes was the first one from Nevada ever to win
Yay.
Best Actor. Yay.
And just to be clear, I am a dork, and I am so amped to see Nevada represented in this way. I love musical theater.
Yeah, well, prior winners include Renee Rapp, who has become ultra super famous, Mean Girls, etc. Andrew Barth Feldman, he got famous for Evan Hansen. In addition to the honor, Chris will get a big fat check, which he will be using to attend the University of Cincinnati College Conservatory of Music for Musical Theater. Yeah, he's going to start in the fall.
Yes, Chris, let's see your name on Broadway. Let's see your name in lights. I'm so excited.
Let's do
Yeah,
it.
no, that's a really awesome honor, and yet another feather in the cap for LVA, too. All right, let's go with our first big story of the week. Actually, it seems to be a cluster of stories. Andrew, what's going on with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority?
Yeah, so much. So on Tuesday, the LVCVA approved a sizable salary boost and a chonky bonus for LVCVA President Steve Hill for his visionary leadership and innovative zeal in ushering in a fresh new era of marketing Las Vegas to the world. No, I'm just kidding. Las Vegas tourism is starting to tank, and Hill got a huge raise because we don't seem to live in reality anymore. So I call this one Vivisect Las Vegas.
Oh, wow. You're going all the way. But that wasn't the only story coming out of LVCVA that the boss got a giant. And how much are we talking about raise-wise?
Yeah, here's the number. So Hill got a 9% raise and a 50% bonus. So his total compensation in that moment is $780,000. And his new salary is like $540,000 a year. So the raise is purportedly for the job he's doing, helping keep Las Vegas tourism afloat-ish with, you know, big name events like Formula One race, WrestleMania, the ongoing ominous prospect of the Oakland A's relocating here. But as always, these big ticket raises always turn a lot of heads.
Yeah. Now, there was some other news that came out of this week from the LVCVA too. Can you give us a little sample of what other information was coming out of this organization?
Yeah, so they actually fired an executive in charge of sports deals over conflict of interest concerns related to her trying to hire her ex-husband for a contracted position. And so they recently appointed Brian Yost to the new role that she vacated, and now he's chief sports officer. So yeah, Lisa Motley out, Brian Yost in. Yeah, a bit of a kerfluffle. But honestly, when I heard that, I was actually shocked that there was some corrective executive action to deal with this, ethical breach. Maybe I'm just, sort of too thoroughly doused in cynicism, but I assume that there would be some whitewashing of it and some sort of collective looking the other way. So yeah, the LVCVA is, never not without its drama.
Yeah. And I read a story about that, Andrew, and it seemed like it wasn't really an internal thing that caught that. It was a public commentator, unnamed, who went to one of their meetings and kind of gave them a tip. So wild.
Yeah, they broke the news. So yeah, God bless the gadflies, right? Usually when during the public comment period, I know that, public officials cringe, right? Because it's usually, vocal critics or gadflies who are, bringing up rank stuff and rambling and stuff like that. So yeah, props to community oversight, right? It's a win.
Yeah. So, there was also another story about them laying out lots of dough to bring the college football championships here, and that's what they do all the time. Sarah, I want to ask you, you hear all these stories about the LVCVA, and Steve Hill, who's the head of the agency, got this glowing review. I get that, but from your perspective, watching all these stories and us talking about all these stories, do you think it's been that great a year for Vegas and the LVCVA?
I mean, first of all, I'm actually just sitting here thinking how 1% of what Steve Hill is going to bring in over the next year would be life-changing, I think, for the majority of Las Vegans. Like, his salary is somewhere in the range of like $750,000 with this bonus. The bonus alone is like $250,000. And just to think, like, all of my debt would be erased with 1% of that. So it's kind of shattering when you think about what other people make at their jobs. That being said, I'm sure he's a very busy man. It doesn't seem like an easy job, especially when David Figler is always on the mic, always on your ass, being like, what's going on over there,
Well, look, let me just make it really clear. I am not obsessed with the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority.
That makes it sound like you're obsessed.
I am obsessed with why people aren't more obsessed with this pseudo-government agency that seems to have a slush fund that they could just spend indiscriminately without there ever having to be a real deep dive into return on investment. That's all. That's my obsession. Like, why don't people ask more questions?
You also know that I'm teasing you, right?
Yeah, no, I accept it, but I just wanted to make that clear.
And I've seen Steve's Hill name in a heart on your bathroom wall. So, but let me say that, yes. Okay, look, we are not back up to pre-pandemic visitation. The country has been messed up. So can we entirely blame LVCVA for that? No. But I think that we're also having a lot of conversations about the impending recession, about tourism tanking, about the fact that visitors don't feel special when they come to Vegas anymore. They feel used. They feel charged for every little thing. And it would be interesting to see them attack like those issues, which individually feel minor, but built together, I think would make a huge change here. Instead, the focus has been on Tesla tunnels, which in my opinion are shit. Can I say that? Yeah. They can bleep me. It's fine. They don't serve anybody. They don't work very well. It's a passion project for Elon Musk. And F1, which, as far as we've been able to tell, only makes a very, very small number of people even wealthier and doesn't serve most Las Vegans.
Not to mention it created a bunch of lawsuits. Andrew, you want to jump in?
Yeah, if I was forced at knife point to scan Hill's fat raise optimistically, I'd say, they're front loading his paycheck because he's, like Sarah said, he's got a huge job ahead of him, right? Because there are troubling, ominous signs on the horizon for tourism and the Las Vegas economy. Airport traffic is down, international tourism is down. This climate of fear brought on by the violent immigration crackdown is hurting tourism everywhere.
Mm.
That same climate is starting to break the local economy. So, the so-called Trump slump that's hitting tourism, it's just getting started. And so I think he's got a big job ahead of him. And I really like what Sarah said. And yeah, it like Vegas marketing needs like some kind of rigorous, robust, grand narrative that brings hospitality
Overhaul.
and value back into the equation, and there
We
is
need
no
what
like,
stays in Vegas, right? We need that
Right,
ring
exactly.
of that strength of that campaign that people are still quoting. Bring it back. Not that,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like what is next, Steve?
Well, and that wasn't cheap
Yeah.
either. And look, again, I don't think he needs my defense, but he does control a $480 million budget. So I think a salary like that for the CEO is not completely out of line. But also, we have, for better, and I'm going to say, and worse, put a lot of stock into like anything loosely related to marketing Las Vegas to make it flashy or new or whatever. And we think that that will save the economy. And I guess that does serve the resort corridor. And I guess that's what their job is. But it's not for the whole of the city. What about education and the arts? What about all the things that make Las Vegas a more stable, better place for other businesses to relocate and people to be able to succeed and thrive here?
And this is crazy because I noticed in that article, the mayor of Henderson was like giving him props of like, you're worth every penny, Steve. What has the LVCVA done for Henderson lately? Like, I don't see tourists coming out to Water Street.
I actually have an earnest, good faith question that David, you might have an answer for, because the sort of the mystifying lack of connection between executive pay at LVCVA and results in terms of tourism and visitation, given that it's a public agency funded by taxpayer dollars and they use those dollars to market Vegas and encourage tourism. Is there like written down somewhere, some metric that says, they're like a commission or something where it says like, hey, for this kind of increase in tourism, we will pay you, commensurately at this rate, and is it unreasonable to think that there might be some formal connection actually inscripted somewhere? Because to give Hill this pretty huge raise while tourism is noticeably limping suggests that there's like no connection to his pay and how good a job he does. So I think and plus I think I think another thing about Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority is, it's a public agency, but it's also a club of power and privilege, right? And
it's like
so
a
I think-
mashup of private and because the resort industry is very influential in what they do and say.
Right.
And Steve Hill obviously is not an elected official. He is only beholden to his board, and his board has, hand-selected members of each, in addition to the resort folk, of each municipality who, I don't know that they are stringent overseers because they kind of have their own jobs being like the mayor of Las Vegas and whatnot. And so in a year when we saw lawsuits against some of these decisions, when we saw outrageous expenditures of funds for literally pet projects like the patch on the Sacramento A's uniform that is not going to bring a single new person into Las Vegas and cost us $8.5 million. You'd wonder, every other job has a performance review, and I'm guessing his does too from the board or whatever, but I'm guessing it's in many ways like a lot of the things that come out of marketing, all sunny, no shade.
Yeah, exactly.
The board voted for this. It wasn't a singular choice,
Yeah.
Yeah. And he bragged a little bit in the article about the Vegas Instagram, it's blowing up or something like that. And I went to it and it was like, it's all right. It does like the typical kind of influencer real stuff, but it feels a little bit out of step with what I see as the grumbling narrative that's just soaking through social media, and that is tourists are getting nickel and dimed with parking fees and cryptic resort charges and $20 bottles of water. And so the dominant narrative that is sort of taking the fore is that Vegas is predatory and mercenary and not freewheeling and fun anymore. And make no mistake, we've always been predatory and mercenary, but can't we be a bit more artful about hiding it, So I wish that we would have some kind of response to that where we could highlight, how Vegas is still a value and maybe encourage Strip City, as you call it so aptly, to reconsider parking fees and lowering prices and making it more welcoming to people who just want to have some cheap, sleazy fun.
Yeah.
Cheap, sleazy fun.
There you go.
There
That's the new tagline. Cheap, sleazy fun.
Yes.
We do need a new one, right? And maybe instead of like investing so much and giving away so much to, like Sarah says, kind of bullshit transit systems that are basically single file cars underground. What'd you just say? Was it cheesy, sleazy?
Cheap and sleazy fun.
No, but this is for real because what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas is old. Like that's not even our official tagline anymore, but it's still so memorable.
Right. Yeah.
People come to Vegas to forget. And what do they need more than right now is like a little bit of escapism. Like we provide escapism and fantasies. So
we do.
And also it's cheap to come here. It's so cheap to come here for Americans. So when you're tightening your budget, you should still be thinking about Vegas. Escape to cheap, sleazy fun.
Yeah, cheap, cheesy, sleazy.
I just don't think we need to be spending money on private organizations and to get people to come here. I feel like we are great as is, and we just need to emphasize that, not paying college teams to come here, et cetera, whatever, blah, blah, blah. All of which will be in my application to be a Las Vegas ambassador being paid by the LVCVA to welcome people to come to our community. You're welcome. On behalf of CityCast Las Vegas, you're welcome. Have you heard about Shakes Play? It's a week-long Shakespeare adventure for young creators. This fun and physical theater camp, presented by the Nevada Shakespeare Festival in partnership with Nevada School of the Arts, invites students to collaborate, create, and perform in their own adaptation of some of Shakespeare's most thrilling works in just 1 week. Shakes Play. It gives young people a supportive, creative, and fun environment to discover the thrill of the theater arts. Nevada Shakespeare Festival's unique style and wildly funny approach to the bard fosters self-confidence and enhances the academic and free-thinking skills of Nevada's youth while instilling a lifelong appreciation for the arts. Open to students 10 to 17 years of age, Shakes Play runs July 14th through the 19th from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. at Doral Academy, Red Rock. To find out more and sign up your young thespian, visit NevadaShakespeareFestival.com. That's NevadaShakespeareFestival.com.
Got some good news for your ears. More of that good stuff is coming up. And even better news for your hair. The best hair care is at Sephora. They've got all kinds of products for every kind of hair. From brands like Amika, Kerastase, Day, and K18. You knew where to get great audio. Now, you know where to get great hair care, too. Sephora. Good news for great hair. Shop hair care now at Sephora.com.
All right, let's move on to another topic that never gets old in our community. Construction. This one's over in the kind of East Fremont area downtown. Sarah, what's the latest?
So there was sort of a human interest piece in the Las Vegas Review-Journal this week by Emerson Drews, and it was looking at 3 businesses on one block of East Fremont that is totally torn up because of construction, and how this constant and ongoing construction affects Las Vegas businesses in this sort of microcosm, right? So this specific roadwork is on East Carson Avenue between 6th and 7th. It began in June. And the project sounds nice, according to RTC. There's going to be a new bus route. It's going to run through downtown. You know, I love a bus. The sidewalks are going to be widened, and that neighborhood was a little scrappy anyway. There's going to be shared bus and bike lanes, better lighting, increased shade, and there's going to be new hydrogen buses. So these are all things that I love. They're making a walkable neighborhood even more walkable. But they've basically been moving down Carson and Fremont at a snail's pace. This work is going to continue through fall of next year. And in this microcosm focus, the journalists looked at 3 different businesses. And while basically, one of them said, yeah, business is down 20%. Another one that we've been to, the Parlor Day, remember we went to that Indian fried chicken pop-up there?
Oh, yeah,
delicious.
That was great.
Yeah. Their business is down 70%. They're like a brunch and lunch place normally and like coffee shop. 70% of revenue lost. And then there's a business that just opened about 5 months ago, that Sayolitas and taco shop. The owner said basically like she's not planning to close, but if the construction continues for more than 3 months, she's going to have to find a part-time job. So she's going to have to work another job to make sure that her taco shop doesn't close. And it's basically because the street is so torn up, even though it's been reopened to pedestrian and car traffic, it doesn't look open. And I mean, this is just a consequence of construction. People will just look at it and be like, you know what? I'm not going to bother. Like, there's no place to park. I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I'm just not going to bother. So, we've got this umbrella of this massive infrastructure project, which looks like it's going to be positive. But the business owners, we're such a pull yourself up by your bootstraps culture that like the focus is all on building this infrastructure, but not on how that process is going to affect these businesses and if they're even going to survive this turnover.
I want to add that this project that you're talking about here, Sarah, is actually on the heels of another project that was in the same exact area that
it's
also
all
tore up the
down
streets. Yeah, and that goes back like 6 months. I mean, I get it. The city has to do this construction. There's all sorts of things, and I know that there's like some floodplain stuff coming in later. So how can they do this while minimizing disruptions to these businesses?
Yeah, I always thought I'm no traffic engineer or construction engineer, but I always thought the received wisdom about doing, pretty intensive, road improvements and construction projects is that you do them at night and then make accommodations during the day, make some accessible, lanes so you can actually have a like bare minimum viable street for use for businesses. So clearly they're not doing that on that street. Yeah, slightly heartbreaking anecdote. A couple Sundays ago, me and my wife wanted to go to the newish Baguette Cafe on Carson in that really cool kind of neo mid-mod building. And it's a wasteland of concrete and asphalt and construction cones. So we park, relatively far away at Container Park. And we're walking over to Baguette and we're walking west on Carson. And out in front of another restaurant we frequent, 7th and Carson, they have a guy out front. And he's basically like a busker for the restaurant trying to lure people in for brunch. So we walk by and it's like, hey, you guys, you ready for some brunch? We got some great seating right here in our patio and some great specials and stuff like that. Yeah, he did that to us coming and going. And I've never seen that at 7th and Carson. And so clearly, that's a small anecdote to show that they are, hurting for certain in the construction cone wasteland that is Carson right now. So I hope they make it through.
They're one of the 3 businesses that were actually mentioned in this article, too. And I have to say the owner was the most positive. He's like, there's good years, there's bad years. They all kind of even out, and this construction is going to improve things. At the same time, this has got to be a daily struggle. And of course, we're not just talking about, the potential closure of the small business for the owner, but what about all those employees in the meantime, too? Like, how many cuts are being made? How is this affecting individuals just trying to make ends meet?
I would be remiss if I didn't also add that is the exact location right there off of 7th and Carson where the restaurant Eat, Natalie Young's very successful, long-standing breakfast spot, recently closed. And when we talked to her about it, she indicated that one of the main factors was that the city had just ripped up that street forever and just didn't do anything about it. Restaurants are famously tough businesses to operate. I know. I watched The Bear, and typically they have super slim margins. So does this microcosm of the small business struggle here tell us anything about the industry at large?
Yeah. I mean, I think that the thing to be thinking about right now is we already know that people are tightening their budgets as far as travel. Actually, personal anecdote for me, I do travel a lot, and I've noticed that for the first time ever, things get cheaper the closer I get to travel dates than before.
Wow.
Usually it's more expensive. Yeah, flights, hotels, everything. The prices have been dropping dramatically like 1 or 2 weeks before I'm going somewhere. So the next thing that people tighten the purse on is going out to eat. We've seen it in the 2008 recession. We saw it during the pandemic. restaurants close. And I can guarantee you that all the restaurants on Fremont East and in the Arts District are already feeling the impact of the fear of this coming recession, right? So
and the fear of more construction.
And the fear of
real.
more construction. To have the construction,
really.
blopped on top of it can be deadly for these businesses. It's much easier for a patron to say, well, maybe we shouldn't anyway.
I just wonder if restaurants aren't always just going to be at the mercy of the surrounding areas, and if the city needs to just do better in figuring out a way not to be contributing to the death of some of these spots.
Yeah, or have like an impact fund, that city officials of all people should know with these downtown projects that restaurants operate on dime thin margins, and that's kind of what the sort of the cool parts of downtown are increasingly known for, right? The culinary scene. So yeah, I mean, maybe they need to have some kind of impact fund to account for construction disruptions.
This episode is brought to you by Buick. Buick certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Buick, exceptional by design. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit buick.com/service to learn more.
Ah, Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant.
Whoa, that's refreshing.
And a 9.5 plus pH for every way you move.
I did take a spin class today.
Restoring like a pro. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
All right, moving on to our last story. Picasso, the high-end restaurant at the Bellagio Resort that actually had Picasso paintings and sketches throughout, closed recently. And now that space is being taken over by Carbone Riviera. Carbone Riviera
He's
is
a
taking
New
off that.
Yorker.
Yeah.
Relax, everybody. Mario
Hey, I'm
Carbone
trying
is
to
a good- he's a
Carbone
nice
here.
guy.
I'm not sure what that means. Okay, so they're moving into the restaurant space and are going to have their storied menu as well. But the big news is that for the first time ever, they're going to have a feature because they overlook the Bellagio fountains. They're going to have a mini luxury yacht that is going to carry guests around the lake. And to what
Here's my
end, I don't
question.
know. Presumably, Sarah,
Can I ask
yes?
a question?
Yeah.
What defines a yacht? Because this shit looks like a boat to me.
It's more than a canoe, and it's less than something that P. Diddy would have a party on.
It's cute. It's like made from beautiful polished woods, but it looks
Yeah.
like a speedboat, like
Yeah.
a mahogany
It's a yachtlet.
speedboat.
A yachtlet.
Well, I said mini yacht. I said mini. I mean, I'm sure it's acquainted nicely with furnishings and whatnot.
David, I just realized that I don't apparently know what a yacht is, because if that's a yacht, I don't know what a yacht is.
All right. Well, it's a yacht or not, but it's definitely
It's a
a
yacht.
seaworthy vessel that will take people to the place where I think a lot of people have wanted to go for a very long time. Who wouldn't want to tool around the Bellagio fountains? Presumably not when the fountains are going, although that would be its own fun feature, like Splash Mountain.
Yeah, trust me, they're gonna arrange that for sure.
At some
I'm still
point.
caught up on Yacht or Not, which is the new fun quiz show coming
Yacht
out.
or not.
Yacht or not?
Yacht or not.
So let's just get into the fun part, because I know with the two of you, this is going to be great. How else should we repurpose the Bellagio fountains, or what other features should be offered? And I'm going to just file this under wrong answers only, please.
Hear me out. Chocolate fountain, okay? A la Willy Wonka, but also the chocolate fountains of like the aught you dip a strawberry in, right? It's just
So
as,
everyone's
like,
issued a giant strawberry
normal size
at the
strawberries.
restaurant.
You go out on the yacht. Yeah.
I love how
if you
they're
have,
No, you don't want them.
The giant strawberry.
If you have like what is it, lagoon side seating, you can just dip right into the water. You can go out onto the yacht and like poke a marshmallow into the fountains coming up. It is just as disgusting and over the top as Vegas always wants to be.
I see a lot of
I love
tourist
it.
Augustus Gloops dropping in with their tiny strawberries. I think you really need a big ass strawberry. Like giant-sized strawberries.
I
with
expected
strawberries the
you to
size of
be
toddlers.
concerned with the sanitation aspects of this, and I even had an answer prepared, and that is that we live in an era of unimaginable and incredible science. So I'm sure that AI is going to come up with a solution for that.
Or, just like, herd immunity. Or perhaps you get an option at Carbone to get a vaccine of spaghetti sauce. Andrew, what is yours?
I love it. Now I've just got hepatitis lake on the brain.
No,
I think it would be awesome.
Delicious.
This is a simple, cost effective. Just takes a little or maybe a lot of red dye, right? And it would be awesome. You could turn the lake into a fiery Dante's Inferno themed attraction called Bellagio.
I knew there'd be a pun involved for
sure.
Wordplay.
And I knew I would laugh at it no matter how bad it was because Andrew's just up in my head.
It's a lake of blood.
And goth and horror is kind of like, it's kind of making a comeback. There's doing all this, early
the apocalypse is
October
here
stuff. So I could totally see that. But I also have one thing that I think is kind of cool about them adding this little yacht is I feel like in Vegas, once you start like accessorizing attractions, you're just on a slippery slope to just go in pure trashy, right? Which is totally Vegas, right? Because Fremont Street, like the Fremont Street
Walking that
experience,
line.
not enough. You got to have the zip line, you got to have Slotzilla, you got to have the buskers.
Build those canals. Build those canals in Fremont finally.
Exactly.
Get
So
the gondolas
I think
in.
they should just go full on, turn the Bellagio Lake into a full on day club with tattoo sleeved meat lords and silicone injected influencers and just atmosphere of drunken menace and just go for it.
Sarah.
Just go for it.
Just let Andrew rant and don't ask too many questions.
Andrew, when was the last time you were at a day club?
Exactly.
That's a good question. No, I actually it's been like at least 10 years. So
yeah. You've inspired me. I have two options now. One just came to mind that they put little platforms all over the Bellagio fountains, and they put the worst of the worst buskers from Fremont Street there to entertain, quote unquote, the people on the yacht. But actually the one that I was going to bring in, and this is inspired by the All Cities episode of CityCast Las Vegas that Sarah Lohman was recently featured on, where should you visit? What attractions should you visit over the summer? And the winner was Houston, which allows you to watch the movie Jaws like literally in the ocean. So
horrifying.
I think
she said, quote unquote, over 80-foot water. No, that won, David. That won.
What if the Bellagio fountains had the mechanical shark from Jaws that came up and ate the yacht and disappeared them? And then all of a sudden, Penn and Teller show up and they go, their meals have been comped or something like that. Just ridiculous.
Think that's already
nice closer.
A ride at
Universal
Universal Studios.
Jonah and the whale, except with the shark from Jaws. And since they have the musical capability there, they would play the theme from Jaws. It's perfect.
Also, it shouldn't be their meals have been comped. It should be their meals have been chomped.
Chomped.
Oh,
perfect.
Nice. That's brainstorming at work.
Anyway, a little magic, a little movie, a little horror. I think the Bellagio fountains can handle it all. Well, that is it for the Friday News Roundup. Sarah and Andrew, thank you so much for your contributions. Always a pleasure.
My pleasure, David.
Thank you.
And before we go, there are a couple things. This is the last week, by the way, that you, listener, can get 50% off tickets to the Rita Deenan Abbey Art Museum. All you have to do is use the code CityCastLV, that's CityCastLV, and you get that discount. You could use that code through July 15th. We recently did a live show from the amazing Rita Deenan Abbey Art Museum.
It was packed, David. It was packed.
Yeah, it was a packed show, but it's also packed with the most interesting and diverse art. It's a single artist museum, but there are items in there that people who are longtime Las Vegans will recognize from being out in the world. It is really an adventure, and I actually recommended people go there this weekend, and 4 of them went over, and they used that discount code. So I highly recommend it. And then we also have some neighbor shout-outs for our neighbors who have joined our membership program. Sarah, you want to hit some of those?
Yes. I love these because I love that we get to celebrate some local businesses. So our members want to shout out a couple different businesses. Michaela C. loves Matsu Ramen and Katsu on South Jones Boulevard. They say fantastic local spot for quality food and some of the friendliest service in town. Nice. Harry F. shouts out the new Chiba Hut on St. Rose. Classic sandwich shop. He loves the cool vibes and excellent social interaction. Cool bartenders too. They got alcohol at the Chiba Hut?
Who knew?
I didn't know that.
All right.
Huh? Thought it was just sandwiches for stoners. Well, gotta go back.
Get the hash can. Thank me later.
Okay, I will. Nicole J has high praise for the excellent care at Southern Hills Hospital.
Oh, that's
the
nice to
ER
hear.
team, the medical surgery wing nurses, the CNAs, housekeeping for room 519, neurology doc. Shout out! Neurology, Dr. Tran, PT, and hospitalist Dr. B and Dr. H. I mean, I am sorry for whatever has happened to you, Nicole, but it sounds like you had such a positive experience, so thank you for that shout out. You too can get your own shout outs by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. Andrew D, Jimmy S, Sandra A, and Areli LG just did. Thank you.
And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Our executive producer is Sonia Cho Swanson. Our producer is Layla Mohammed. Our roving producer this week was Elizabeth Kama. Special thanks to Director of Production Natalie Rivera. Our newsletter editor is Rob Kacharis. Our roving newsletter editor was Adrian Gonzalez. Our hosts are Sarah Lohman and me, David Figler. Music is by OG Moose, Epidemic Sound, and All the Kimonos, as well as Adrian Sood, courtesy of Triple Scoop. We record the show on the traditional homelands of the Nuuvi, the Southern Paiute people. If you enjoyed the show, hey, you should go tell a friend. Also, rate our show with the stars and such. Leave us a review, too, and subscribe to our indispensable morning newsletter, Hey Las Vegas. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Till then, stay lucky. Yet another feather in the cap for LVA, too, right? Yeah.
My alma mater, sort of.
Sort of.
Is it?
Well, the building is, but the school isn't.
Oh.
Is
yeah,
that
I went
right,
before
Andrew?
it was the Goth Academy.